Hello and welcome, I'm King Zachary, and this is the top 5 indie games of 2015. Well, so far. The only rules is that it must have been released this year, and it must be by an independent developer, so that's a pretty big list. And of course, it must be freaking awesome. Without further ado, number 5, Crypt of the Necrodancer. Dance your way through dungeons and leave those friends behind, because if those friends don't dance, then really, they're no friends of mine. No, but for real, if you don't move to the beat, you just aren't playing the game correctly. That is, unless you pick the bard. Those damn bards, always breaking the rules. Upon load up, you get a nifty intro cinematic with some great voiceover work that bleeds into the main game. And how gorgeous is all of this? All of it, look how smooth and expertly done the pixel art and animations are. It is a treat to behold indeed. Move to the beat of the electrifying music coursing through your veins. It's an exceedingly rare occurrence for me to go out of my way to listen to video game soundtracks outside of the actual game, namely Bastion, Transistor, and unexpected RuneScape. But anyway, the music presented here is really fantastic. Albeit, if it was bad, then this game would probably be in the dumpster. But anyway, every level has new music to enjoy, so things don't get stale. Make sure to wear earbuds for the fullest experience. Playing similar to new age roguelikes like Rogue Legacy, you move from floor to floor seeking ever increasing riches, defended by increasingly difficult enemies. And man, is this game difficult. Maybe not as much as others of this genre, but it's still pretty difficult. Harking back to games of old, Necrodancer enforces old concepts like hidden rooms or enemies whom give a tell as to their next movement, and of course, hidden item shops inhabited by a large opera singing men. Kill enemies, all on beat, of course, and collect the money dropped while finding new and exquisite items like a broadsword or like a magical artifact. Well, I mean, this is all until you die. But worry not, you of course have unlimited tries, and at the end of each round, you can quick restart by trying the level again or going back to the hub level. Here at the hub level, you can purchase upgrades, or switch out characters, or access different modes, or whatever else you need to do. On a bit of a personal note, I love how the user interface elements are placed in the world physically, a game design choice I wish more developers would take advantage of. My problem with this game, and the reason it's number 5, and this could just be me, but I just never felt like I could get the hang of moving to the beat, despite having a pretty good relatively good internal rhythm or whatever you want to call it. I just couldn't find myself moving to the beat and having an enjoyable experience. I pinpointed, or sort of pinpointed, the problem down to me wanting to move faster than the beat allowed. Even though I may have been on beat technically, I wasn't moving on beat according to the game, and this led to a lot of frustration, and I just couldn't ever really get into it despite really wanting to do. And yes, I did the whole audio calibration, video calibration, or whatever several times, and just didn't never help me, play it right. But the game devs thought something like this might happen and concocted a player character from the start that doesn't have to move to the beat. It's quaint. This also removes an innate, well, it sort of removes a gimmick argument, but anyway, it's a fantastic overall game. Number 4, Kerbal Space Program. This list would not be a top 5 indie games of 2015 without Kerbal Space Program on it. Sail to space on the backs of thousands of little green men in an unlimited budget to conquer the galaxy or blow up almost immediately. Whatever floats your ship. This game, or simulation thing, is really complicated. Even the tutorial had me lost in just a few first sentences. An ideal way to learn is just to kind of wing the tutorial and then double back over with the newfound knowledge, getting better and better at the basics until you too can be a rocket scientist. I tried this game a while back, maybe something 6 months to a year, and I left disappointed due to the lack of a proper tutorial, and to my dismay, it's almost completely identical, at least the beginning part. It's simply a hurdle you must overcome if you want to enjoy the fruits of this fantastic experience. But on to the actual playing part. Constructing your rocket. The goal is space, and then other planets where you can even land and stuff. To a layman, this may sound easy, but it is oh so difficult. The attention to detail across the board is astounding. Now granted, I don't know if any of this is accurate, but it's like jumping into an ocean of knowledge and numbers. During the launch sequence, it isn't just a sit back and watch the cinematic trailer while your rocket sails out into the stars. You actually control it and dictate the different stages of takeoff. For example, getting rid of the empty fuel canisters by pressing space or whatever. Then the actual getting to space part is magnificent. It's silent and somber and beautiful. That is until you wait too long trying to figure out how to get where you need to be. And then you fall to Earth while on fire, followed by exploding and screams and killing your highly educated astronauts inside. It's a mess. It's a mess. Overall, my 2 complaints aren't necessarily related to the gameplay, and that is a good sign. But the 2 complaints do hurt Kerbal Space Program immensely. 1, the tutorial needs a complete overhaul, makeover, whatever you need to do. Everything is so complicated and convoluted. Just tightly hold my hand through at least the very first concepts, like rudimentary building or and piloting, and then let go over time. I can certainly say for a fact that the lackluster teaching will drive people away. And there is an argument, just watch a YouTube video, but there's a disconnect there. I want to be in the game. I don't want to be forced out of the game. It's kind of like in Minecraft. Going to the wiki is kind of nice, right? But the crafting system that they implemented is so much better overall. Second, the overall graphical presentation is weak. It's a rather minor complaint with these kind of games, but I do think that a space rocket simulator like this should be breathtaking, and it just simply isn't. In general, however, this is a spectacular sandbox, and for the few that can weather learning it, will take up hundreds of hours of your time testing and piloting to new worlds. Number 3, Ori and the Blind Forest. This game is so freaking gorgeous, it makes my eyes bleed. I dabbled in this sort of work, and I can't even begin to figure out how they blended a 2D and 3D world so seamlessly. It's like watching a beautiful oil painting come to life. If only, my god, if only the actual gameplay was anywhere near as good. Unfortunately, it's not, and I believe this game will come and go with no major critical acclaim because of it. The reason it's so bad is because it goes from heart-wrenching novel, a story, and experience to a rather generic platformer. Why did it do this? Why does gameplay have to get in the way of a good story? It's heartbreaking. I clung to every second of the prologue just to put the game down like 20 minutes into the platforming section for a while. Couldn't we just have an immersive, albeit slow-paced, story-based adventure instead of this Rayman Legends carbon copy? Regardless of how I feel it should have been done, it is well done, and it's not bad. Your little rabbit thing is quite fast and dashing between platforms, and your little buddy fairy will be shooting stuff as you pass by. The actual controls honestly aren't that great. It felt a bit floaty a lot of the time. I need to feel in absolute control when playing a platformer. The fairy shooting mechanic feels odd and unnecessary, and just everything about this is average, in very stark contrast to the visuals, the gorgeous visuals. Really, this game could have been a serious Game of the Year contender, but got held up by traditional conventions that a game must have traditional gameplay. And, well, they're wrong. Number 2, Her Story. Now, this is a game I totally wasn't thinking was going to even make it on this list. Well, anyway, you know how I, like, 5 seconds ago slammed a great game for beautiful graphics but terrible gameplay? Well, this is like the inverse of that. Start by watching a few clips laid out for you, then start exploring. You have in front of you a simulated computer screen. Much to my surprise, what this means is you can actually click on the icon on the desktop. It's not just a background. There you can find a hacked game, which that was pretty funny, some tutorial text, and a clock that I just can't really figure out. Otherwise, though, it is pretty useless. Along with the glare and overall aesthetic, you have a true to the times 94 simulation. My favorite bit is when you type in the search bar, you get to hear the decades-old keyboard sounds. Oh, it is glorious. You're some kind of police detective, don't want to say any more than that, trying to crack the several-year-old murder case. Watch the few second-long clips of a questioning sequence, then type in the search bar new keywords like sister, murder, Simon, or more clips for more keywords. Along the way, you'll piece together a story that's been jumbled up due to the nature of the search for keyword system. The actual story you're investigating is just not that great, I feel. It relies on the lack of knowledge of the player, and it tricks it just tricks you, and it's strange storytelling. Along the way, I felt like I was not in control, like I was being tugged along for the ride instead of directing it. And there was like an illusion of a reveal, which admittedly is probably, this whole thing is difficult to do when you're not controlling exactly how the information is being presented. And I get that, but the whole package just felt really amateur. And I know it's a weird thing to say for this indie game list, but it felt more amateur than most of the indie games coming out these days, including the actor in the clips, whom I think didn't do that great of a job. I think the actor drummed up certain parts unnecessarily and made certain plot points a little bit too obvious. Overall, here we have a very interactive experience, almost like a visual novel in a way, with a light puzzle mechanic. But truly, I do appreciate this gateway to another world. Rarely is it that I'm so invested in a story like this. It's great for eating up an entire afternoon. Number 1, Rocket League. I think quite a few people saw this one coming. This is just, it's almost a no-brainer. Rocket League, man, this game has been tearing up the scene, and for good reason. Everything about this game is fantastic. It looks spectacular and plays initially a bit confusing, but overall quite nicely. And don't be fooled by the footage I have up here on the screen. That's my own personal footage. My laptop isn't the most powerful, but I can assure you it looks much, much nicer when you have a better rig. But anyway, you are a car. Not the first time you've heard that, I'm sure. You can move with the standard control scheme and boost with an added jump mechanic. Also, you seem to be on a soccer, football field. What is this game on about? Soccer with cars? Yes. And it is glorious. Drive, boost, and jump around trying to get that huge ball into the opponent's goal for points, and points, as you can imagine, win you the game. A bit of progression and customizability is also thrown in for the constant tug to keep playing. The whole experience is very simple, like soccer itself, but incredibly deep for those who want to learn the deeper intrinsic strategies. For example, controls-wise, it takes a few games to get hang of jumping and hitting the ball with a bit of a boost at the precise time and angle to score a few goals. Or strategically, you can rush the ball in the center for an instant goal, but it actually won't work on the better players, opting maybe you to play it back a bit and hope to get a rebound. Rocket League is huge, and for good reason. The surprising part is that it's not free to play, and that may hurt it in the long run, but for now, it is the hottest game on the scene, and probably for a while. Once again, I have been KingZakree with MMOplay.com, and this has been the top 5 indie games of 2015 so far. Do you have a list you'd like to see? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.